find out from this side of the border. There was no movement, there was no life happening that side. And slowly, in fact, the first of the intrusion was noticed by some local people. This is around on 3rd of May is the first incident comes to light. There's some movement of people around in the places higher up in the region. Now this was reported, and there is a system. The information flows back to the post which is there, and that is how a patrol was launched. That was Saurav Kalia. Saurav Kalia's patrol was launched at that time, and it was a routine finding out and driving out people. Sometimes what happens is in winters also the militant movements happen. 5-10 people come in, they try to cross, we intercept them, we send, all those things keep on happening. So this was taken like that only. We didn't know the entire plan, or we didn't know how much of people were already entrenched in places. So this patrol went, and then patrol lost contact and they disappeared. And that is when we started exploring more places. And slowly, the whole story evolved, and we came to know that from, this side, from Mushko to the Dras, Kargil, all those areas, everywhere it was. So slowly, the picture was emerging, and the entire country was watching those things. I mean, all of you must have been there. You all know how the news used to come one by one. It used to come, and somewhere around 15th of May or mid-May 1999, that is when the gravity of the situation was understood, and we launched a mobilization. Now, it takes time for the entire country or the entire armed forces to mobilize and get into action. That's how it is supposed to be. Units mobilize very fast. In fact, everybody is at a short notice of about 6 hours to, that is the standard. Then we mobilized, and the entire borders were occupied, and wherever BSF is there, ITBP is there, they are pulled back, and the regular army put there. That means they are battle ready. And this is about, I think 21st, 22nd is when I remember we were moved back from the coast, back to the units. We all reported back to the units. I think within 24 hours of reaching the unit, we moved with the unit to the respective locations. Everybody's got their own places to go. All those drills are practiced like every army it is done. And then the action started. So this is from army side, it was Operation Vijay. And then the army doesn't operate in isolation when it comes to a large scale operation like this. So the Air Force and the Navy were also involved. And Air Force launched their operation called Safed Sagar. So this is on 26th of May. 26th of May, yes, 26th of May is when it started. And 27th of May, 2 of our aircraft were shot down. That was a MiG-21 and a MiG-27 by the Pakistani air defense. Because we were trying to operate from our own side of the thing, but Air Force was assisting in bombarding these hilltops where the enemies were placed. And that's how the battle started going stronger and bigger. And next day, on 28th May, we lost another helicopter, which was in that area. The helicopter was shot down again. We lost 4 people there. And slowly then thereafter the battle progressed, and then the Indian Army was launched in a big way, along with the support of artillery in a big way. Bofors were in big force, and all the artillery guns. With the support, we started moving, and then we started recapturing the areas one by one. This all started from in the beginning of June or maybe end of May. Now, one of the things which happened was that a lot of bikers are here. I mean, we would have gone through that road, National Highway 1. So when you go from here, from Srinagar side towards Sonmarg and beyond towards Kargil and Dras, that is where you will find, I mean, many of you have seen also, now there's a wall also there. So that is where the road was in direct sight and direct line of fire of the Pakistanis who were occupying that place. So that started creating a little problem, because if the road is cut out, then we have a big problem moving our troops. Everything will get affected. Then we have to go to the other side, the Manali side of the route. So anyway, so slowly we have started succeeding. And on 13th of June, Tololing was recaptured back. And on 4th of July was Tiger Hill captured. I mean, these are the two big battles which happened. We had to pay a very heavy price for this. And 7th to 11th July is when we came towards the Batalic sector, where the areas which was lost were recaptured. And 26th July was the day when the final operation was concluded and we declared victory. So this is the background which happened generally on the war front. We lost, our casualties were about 527, including a large number of officers, JCOs, and other ranks. And there was a lot of stories of bravery which we all have seen. So that's the background, Ashish.
So thanks, Jacob sir. So we want a few words from Colonel Satish Malik. He is also present there. So over to Satish sir.
Thank you, Ashish, and Jacob. Thank you. That was a good sum up of the whole war. Ashish said that there will be some untold stories. So not exactly untold stories, but yes, certain things which happened during the war, since I was actively involved in it, so I can talk about it. First thing which Jacob very clearly mentioned was what we know of, as Kargil War as such. So the whole world calls it Kargil War, maybe the whole nation calls it Kargil War, but it was officially it was named Operation Vijay. And Operation Vijay was not only in Kargil sector as such. So even where this the attack was happening to recapture all our occupied posts, that was again not only in Kargil. There are other sectors also, Dras, Batalik, Kaksar, so all these are adjoining regions. But yes, conveniently we all call it Kargil War. And during this war, it was not only the attack which was taking place. Of course, all stories are stories of bravery. I mean, all of you have heard of those stories. Very, very brave actions taken by the junior leaders, junior officers of Indian Army, and they were they could recapture all the lost posts. But when we talk about Operation Vijay, at the same time, it was a lot of defensive action also, which was happening all across Jammu and Kashmir. Like I was deployed. I'm from infantry, so have to be in the forefront always. So I was deployed on line of control in Poonch Rajouri sector, and there also before, if we call the start of this Kargil war, and if I remember clearly, it started on 20th of May when the airstrike started. So even before that, there was a lot of activity which was happening. And activity was like the enemy was trying to push in a lot of infiltrators. So infiltration action has increased a lot all along the line of control. And we who were in defensive role, our job was to maintain the integrity of our line of control. So our work was not to let them in at any cost. So, the whole lot of things happening, the whole nights we would be in ambushes continuously. There was extensive mine laying which was happening. And, the moment you get some kind of information about some infiltration happening or likely to happen, so you are there right at the line of control. You are there in forefront to stop that. And in my particular case, I was a company commander at that time. I had put in 13 years of service by this time. So the main role was to deploy my company in such a way that no infiltration can happen through that. And even during this period, I mean, even before this Kargil war started, we had successfully, we had stopped many infiltrations. So we had pushed back many infiltrators. We had killed many infiltrators at the line of control. So that is the action that we were taking in a defensive role during the war. Yeah, Ashish. I mean, any questions if you have on this? Ashish, you are on
Your
mute.
voice is not coming. You're muted.
So we have one question: ki what is the difference between an international border and a LOC, line of control, LOC?
Well, between India and Pakistan, all across our western border, till J&K, we have international border. International border is duly accepted and recognized by both the countries. So there are proper border pillars there, which are acceptable to both countries, and along that the international boundary runs. The line of the concept of line of control is that between India and Pakistan in 1947, when we got independence, and after independence, J&K was not yet part of India, and Pakistani troops, they started moving in, and also the Razakars, and they started capturing Jammu and Kashmir. So that was the time Indian Army got involved on request of Maharaja Hari Singh, and accession was signed. So when Indian Army got into Jammu and Kashmir, they started pushing back, all these Pakistanis, and somewhere in between the ceasefire happened. And at the time of ceasefire, whichever army was there at that time, they stopped there. And at that time, it was called ceasefire line. And later on, it was converted into line of control. In army parlance, it is known as LC, not LOC as other people they call it. So LC is line of control. Line of control is, it's not an accepted boundary between two countries. It is, we claim that what we call Pakistan occupied Kashmir is our Kashmir, actually. So Pakistanis, they have, come and occupied that area. So this line of control is not a recognized international border. It is just wherever we are sitting right now, but our claim is on the complete Jammu and Kashmir. So that is the difference.
So I have a next question. Like the winter, as per the news and reports, we heard that the winter we are vacating a post. That is, both armies are having understanding. So we are coming back in the winters from that particular post, and on that particular time. So the Pakistani forces or terrorists, whatever we can say, they occupied that land. So what is the agreement between the both forces, and why we are coming back in winters? So these are the things.
And this question is for me or for Jacob?
For you, sir.
Okay.
Jacob.
Okay, so this kind of agreement is not a universal agreement. It's not there everywhere. The whole line of control which is there in Jammu and Kashmir, it is not everywhere that Indian and Pakistani troops used to pull back. It was only in certain sectors because, and there was nothing written about this. It was, an unwritten acceptance that we had of the situation, because during winters, it becomes extremely difficult to maintain those posts, even to survive on those posts, it becomes very, very difficult. So this Dras is, by the way, the second coldest inhabited place in the world. So you can imagine how cold it could be. And during winters, it was next to impossible to survive there. So that's why it was kind of unwritten between two countries that during winters we'll pull back. And again, in summers when the snow melts, we can go up and occupy the position. In 99, it didn't happen that way. I mean, both countries, they pulled back, but Pakistanis later on during winters only, they started occupying these heights and occupying our defenses.
Okay, thanks, Karan. So my next question to the Jacob sir. So as per the news, few our fighter planes and helicopters was shot by the Pakistani air defense system. So Jacob sir is from the air defense background. So this question to the Lieutenant Colonel Jacob sir, so how it is work, and on that point of time, what is our preparation on that point of time?
Oh, thanks, Ashish. Before answering this, because when Sir was talking, I just wanted to add one more point to that. This is because this is an understanding between countries. This is to economize our effort, and without what is the use of going and sitting there ultimately? Both of us agree to go and sit back at their own places. Nothing changes. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out. In fact, this was the same thing in Siachen Glacier also earlier. Nobody is occupying that place. We were sitting on this side of it, they were sitting on that side of it. But we were forced to move in there when they started moving in and started taking over the places. That is when we also sent our forces. Now it's become a permanent thing. Now there is also unsuccessful talks till now about demilitarizing Siachen also. Ultimately, it doesn't hurt anybody to go back. They go back to their own old places and we come back. The LC remains the same. That is the arrangement. Or when it's violated, because it's not possible to guard every single inch of land by putting people there. It is not required, it's not necessary. When it comes to IB, we have very clear-cut things. It's marked, it's fenced also, most of all the areas from all the way down from Rajasthan always to Jammu and beyond. It is fenced so that it's like a house. It's like two neighbors. The area between the two houses is marked and fenced or walled. There's nothing about it. And the unmarked places also, if you see two neighbors, they don't sit in the border every day, coming and sitting as to who is crossing this side or that side. It doesn't need to be. So that is the arrangement. I was just adding on to what you said because it just came to my mind. Now, next thing we asked is about the air defense part of it. So what happens is the air defense of a country is the basic responsibility or the task of the Air Force. But how they do it is, Air Force has got their own planes, fighter planes are there. Depending on the threat perception, they are on different levels of readiness. Like in terms of active operations, there will be flights already flying around. Maybe two of the fighters will be flying in the air. And before they land, another two will be in the air. So this is called combat air patrolling. That happens. This would have happened on the 26th, 27th, on that kind of times. When the active Air Force operations are going on, it happens. Now, apart from the Air Force, who is taking care of the air defense of the country's airspace, there is the ground-based air defense weapon systems also. In fact, I happen to be from the ground air defense regiment of the Indian Army. Similarly, Pakistan has also got. So the ground-based system has radars, then they have missiles, guided missiles, gun systems, all these kind of systems are there. They are deployed on certain locations on ground. Whereas Air Force will be in the forward air bases, they will take off and engage the enemy aircrafts coming in at the required location. So there is no geographic boundary. Once Air Force takes off from the airport, from one of the airfields in forward locations, they can reach out anywhere within 200, 300, 400 kilometers, depending on their capability, the fuel they are carrying, or the air-to-air refueling system available. They can reach anywhere. But then it is not possible to cover the entire area like this 24 hours. It costs a lot of money. We need much more aircrafts for that. It is not required. And that is where the ground-based systems come in. So like in India, the Pakistani, the army also has the shoulder-fired missiles, famous missiles you must have heard about, Stinger missiles and all. We have the Russian equivalent of that. And there are other missiles which can be launched from ground to air to engage incoming aircraft. So it is some of those missiles which the radars must picked up our aircrafts going in that area, flying in the vicinity of LC. Whether they're crossing or not crossing is not important. But we were on this side of the airfield, the LC. We were using the aircrafts to engage the ground targets there. But then there in the air, it is clearly visible to the enemy. and they were lucky to shoot the missile, and we got hit. And that is how the air defense works. So this operation starts, the entire army is mobilized. There are so many air defense battalions, this side, that side, they are all deployed, starting from Rajasthan all the way up to Kashmir and Ladakh. Everywhere the air defense regiments are deployed, so that any incoming aircraft are intercepted at the border, or at critical locations where they're coming to strike. At the point of strike, we will have our own air defense systems. So this is in addition to the Air Force, which might engage them in the air. So that's how we are to 3 aircrafts got shot down on 27th and 28th. Ashish, you need to unmute. You got to mute again.
Yeah, sorry. So my next question to the Satish sir, what was your role in this war, Kargil war?
Well, I have already discussed that. I was a company commander at that time, and I was deployed on the line of control. My role was to stop any kind of infiltration, which could take place in front of my company. So that is what I was doing. And while doing this, there are a lot of activities which were happening. That was anti-infiltration operations which were taking place. Also, a lot of mine-laying operations were happening there. So I was personally involved in all these actions.
Okay. So my next question to the Jacob sir. So where was you are there, and what were your role in that particular operation?
Thanks, Ashish. Like I was saying, I am from the Air Defense Battalion. So when the war or formal war or official war starts off, we all go back to our own basic roles. At other times, we may be doing infantry job or maybe on other things and things like that. But ultimately, because we all need our trained manpower for the task which is done. So I was commanding we call it battery. It's the economic company in infantry. So we had that. We had our own task. So I was on somewhere around 100 kilometers north of Jammu. We were protecting a few ammunition dumps and a few headquarters and few areas where it was critical to us. They're critical army assets, where we were expecting an enemy to come and strike by shooting missiles or dropping bombs in our area. So my task was to deploy our air defense systems and make sure that the enemy is engaged and shot down in case they happen to come and attack my locations. So I was north of Jammu.
Okay, thanks for the info. And it's a very crucial information. People are not knowing. People are only thinking the war happened only on the top of the hills. But when the war is happening, lot of other aspect is involved. Different things is required. And saving assets is a very important thing on that point of time. So I'm moving to the Colonel Satish sir. So the question is, it's a mix of the questions. When you are in the war situation, when the enemy, you are firing on the enemy or enemy is firing. So what is your feeling on that point of time? And in the war zone, and how you got injured during this war?
Okay. To answer your first question, what is the feeling when you are being fired upon or you are firing is, well, honestly, there was nothing, some very extraordinary feeling, because this was not the first time that I was being fired upon. So, I had operated in Jammu and Kashmir during this tenure and even before this also. And number of anti-militancy operations, anti-terrorist operations I had conducted. So I had been fired upon earlier also. So it was not I would say, a very out of the world or a novel experience for me. I had faced it earlier. And as far as fighting the enemy is concerned, there was not too much of thinking about these things at that time, because, if I don't kill somebody, he is going to kill me. So it was a question of who kills whom first. So, when the war is on, you have to kill your enemy. You have to fire at your enemy. So You know, there's nothing
Yeah,
which
yeah,
comes to your mind at that time. You know, about sensitivities or moralities. I would say at that time, my you know, the strongest morality which I have is that I have to do this for my country. I have to do this for my regiment. I have to do this for my battalion. You know, I have to win this one. I have to be on top of the situation for this. And second thing about my injury is when on 26th of May, some people were trying to infiltrate in front of my company. Some Pakistani soldiers, they were trying to get in, soldiers or maybe militants. And my task was to stop them. So I had gone with my men ahead on the line of control to stop them. So there was a firefight. There was, we were able to push them back. And then when I was coming back to my post, that is the time I stepped over a mine somewhere, and my one leg was blown off below knee. That was not a marked minefield as such. So, you know, any mine would have. When you lay a minefield in mountains, especially, what happens that these get over a period of time, these get unanchored and they may roll down the slope. So, you know, it gets stuck anywhere. So it could be one of those mines, and I stepped over that, and leg was blown off. So I was immediately I was evacuated, although it took a long time since it happened in the evening, and there was no way for a helicopter to land at that time. So I was evacuated by road, and it took almost 8 hours to reach hospital. And well, then in the night, my leg was amputated below knee. So that's what my injury is.
okay. Thanks sharing for this info, sir. And now I'm moving for the next question to the Jacob, sir. Why it's in this war, all army is involved. So on that point of time, the Air Force and Navy role was that. What are the role of the Air Force and Navy in this particular war?
So see, what happens is, you know, small things we keep hearing the news about Kashmir militants, all those things happen. That is mostly the only Indian army is involved. It could be
Yeah,
sometimes BSF also, you know, wherever it is happening, but mostly it's in the Indian army. But when we say it's an operation, and it is, you know, as Prime Minister that time announced that we are doing what is required to be done. That means it's a war which is declared. So when it happens, the entire country moves up for the action. I mean, it's not only in the front lines; it's backwards, all over the place. Even the corporate sector, there are drills and procedures set. So everything gets into action. So similarly, along with the army, the Air Force and Navy also gets into the required actions. So what happens is, Air Force was very much required because the places, if you know, a lot of us who have visited Kargil War Memorial, you know, from when you stand there, the briefing is very interesting and very real. You can stand there and see those heights where the battle was fought. Now, it is on a normal peacetime, on a mountaineer, it's very difficult to climb such places. You know, as a sport, it's very difficult. Now imagine climbing that with your battle loads and with the battle fatigue and all gone in, and in the wrong weather, and then we are being fired up from the top. So it's very difficult to get it. But then the orders are very clear, and our irada is very clear. We have to get it back, and we'll get it back at whatever cost. Now that is where the use of Air Force comes in. We can use Air Force to come on the aerial platform and shoot our guns and missiles and rockets into those bunkers. Now the technology is quite advanced. We can shoot from a distance also, but such kind of high-tech equipment is limited. Sometimes the aircrafts come very close and aim their rockets and the bunkers and all. So it makes the army's job a little easier. Sometimes this is also done prior to our own assault. Just before we are going in, we will bombard them with all these bombs so that they are trying to recover from the shock and the damage. And that is when we mount a ground attack on top of them. So that is the Air Force role. So Air Force, and then Air Force also gets involved in dropping supplies to the locations, then evacuating casualties. All those are Air Force role. Now, and then Air Force also takes another role of, because we don't know where the action is going to lead to. Initially, it started as, we thought it's a few militants who have come in, we are supposed to evict them in no time. Then we realized it is all along the LC. Then, slowly it kept on building up. Then we realized it is a regular army of Pakistan who was involved in this. So similarly, Air Force by that time will be redeployed and they'll be ready for any kind of offensive air action which is coming from within the opposite side. So that is another role of Air Force. And then they'll be also always prepared for any kind of strikes into the enemy territory if it comes to that. So all these actions takes place. So the word go, Air Force also is ready for such actions. Air Force action was named as Operation Safed Sagar. So similarly, what happens is when it's a full-fledged war going on, or the war is looming, actually the fighting was taking place in the mountains, but we can never rule out what is going to happen next. So Navy was mobilized and they were supposed to counter any kind of naval action which might happen from Karachi side. Because from Karachi, if you come, Navy, if they mobilize, they can very easily reach our Gujarat coast and they can interfere in actions and they can open another front of operations. Fighting one place is one, and if enemy comes from this side or that side also, then the war becomes much more difficult. That's where we can't sit and wait for the enemy to come from Karachi to Porbandar and then think what to do. So that is where Navy's operation was called Operation Talwar. So all was going on side by side. I mean, recently you must have heard the news about appointment of CDS.
Yeah.
So that is, in view of all this, that we need one unified command where one person is able to coordinate the operation of Navy, Air Force, and Army at a certain level. So that was the role of Air Force and Navy in this operation.
Thanks for this information. So moving to the Satish sir for the next question. So you told that is the mine blast was happened there when you are coming by after stopping some infiltration is happening there. So after the injury, how's the life is changed? How your family is accepted that one, the injury?
Well, I mean, I don't think there has been too much of change in my life. After my amputation, I came to Pune, where Army has its artificial limb center, and I was fitted with an artificial leg. And since then, personally, I have tried to do almost everything that I had been doing earlier, or almost everything that any other able-bodied man of my age would be doing. At times, maybe a little more than that. So I have never let this injury affect me in any manner as such. And as far as family is concerned, I'm truly blessed to have a family which always supported me. And, it's a very funny thing that my wife and children, they were the first ones to see me when I got injured. So fortunately, it was, what happens that if you get injured and if you're injured grievously, then usually a message goes from Army to the family that, so-and-so, your son, your husband has got injured. And because of the distance, it becomes a little, stressful for the family to bear the news and also get the correct facts. But I was very fortunate that they were close by, and they were the first ones to get the news. And they saw me, and they realized that okay, fine, one does get injured in Army, so they have taken it in a very, very spirited manner. And the family has also never made me feel in any way that I have some disability or if there is anything which I'm unable to do. So it has never happened. So even till today, I mean, as you all know that I'm also a biker. So I do more or less everything. So absolutely no effect emotionally or physically on me because of this injury.
I have a one question in my mind since since 99 in the Kargil war was happened. I was doing in the NCC, so I was in a class 11. So we are really hearing a stories direct. We are going to every day the battalion and every day update we are getting on that point of time. Ki what is happening there? So few of our seniors are also there in the army so fighting. So one questions as a student on that point of time, as a kid is coming in the mind, ki why we are not crossing a border, why we are not entering a Pakistan and taking a place back. That on that point of time, that thought is coming to the entire nation. And these questions to I'm asking both of you. So why we not did on that point of time? Because one side we are going, we read lot of stories. I don't know how much is true, and but that is the casualties happen. We are going on the steep hills on a one side. So this is the question: why we are not cross the LOC on that point of time?
Well, if you ask me, I would say that army is not the one to take this decision. You know, army is a machinery of the government. Army doesn't take independent decisions. Whatever government decides, army participates. Army facilitates that. So ideally, this question should be posed to politicians, to the government, that why we are not doing that. As far as army is concerned, yes, the day army is told to do that, and we will be, I'm sure we will be successful in doing that.
Yeah. So thanks Jacob sir, and thanks Colonel Satish sir to joining today and giving this very crucial information. We are reading only the different part of stories, but only war is not happening on the one phase. It's happening on a different level, like our army is involved, air force is involved, navy is involved. And we heard a few stories, but a lot of untold stories there, and storytelling is coming out, and every time we are getting that one. So thanks for joining. And thanks to Jacob sir and Satish sir. And yeah, Jacob.
I can add one thing. If somehow we were sitting in, the discussion took me back to those days. So
yeah.
What I'm remembering is one thing, or one point I just want to make is that this war gave us a lot of heroes, and it is everybody dies one day, but it is like God decides, gives opportunity for people to contribute. We've heard about a lot of gallantry awards have come in this. We've all heard about the Paramveer Chakras, which has been awarded during this. Yogendra Singh Yadav is one. Then Lieutenant Manoj Kumar Pandey, Captain Vikram Batra, and Rifleman Sanjay Kumar. These names we have heard, and there are more. There are other Mahavir Chakras, Veer Chakras, and other gallantry awards which has come. So while it is it is there, but we should also remember the other heroes who've been there from 1947 onwards till date. This kind of action and action of bravery and action of sacrifice has been happening throughout the history. So the others are also equally important. While we are talking about Kargil war heroes, I take this opportunity to remember all those other people who've been with us, our friends, our colleagues, who've been there from the beginning and who will be there in future also. Every single person, now we are talking today, things are happening in Chinese border, things are happening LC also. Every other day we keep hearing, we may not hear in the news, but it keeps happening. People fight, people have to sacrifice. Some of them get the opportunity to showcase or show their bravery and act it. Some get to sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice, supreme sacrifice. So they're all important. I take this opportunity to remember them also, all of them, all the martyrs.
Absolutely, yeah.
To the history.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. That's all, Ashish. Thank you.
Yeah, same thing. We are remembering our war heroes. Those are given their life, those are injured, and those are living. So all are the heroes for us. Even because it's when we are saying army, it's not a one person, it's an entire thing. So thanks Jacob sir to giving us all the things, very good information on that. So today is the 21st Kargil Vijay Diwas celebration. So वो कहते हैं ना लता मंगेशकर का गाना है कि कुछ याद उन्हें भी कर लो जो लौट के घर ना है. So that is the story. And we are ending up this session. Thanks, Colonel Satish sir.
Thank
and
you very
Jacob,
much. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish sir.
Thank you, Satish sir.
everybody.
Thank you, Jacob sir.